Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. It is time I uploaded the Jade Oni Rematch Duel. This has to be, in my opinion, the hardest duel out of all of them, right? Because there's so many factors that come in play. And I know a lot of the community that has been doing the rematches, that have been wanting the decks from here, or even the boots, were complaining a lot. So after countless hours of memorizing these cheats and actually like finding out what the triggers are for all these cheats, I find out how you can defeat them. But there is a lot of like, you have to play based upon, like, you basically have to react to these, to like the Onis. If you don't react, you can't really defeat this boss consistently because of the factors that come in play, such as what if you fail pip, what if you fizzle, you know, so that is possible if you don't have like the best of the best stats. What if for some reason the Death Oni does a Legion Shield? What if the Jade Oni is in this constant cycle where he keeps hitting you with his Gambit Oni? There's a lot of things, and there's some things I really wish that can be changed in this fight. It's mainly just one thing particularly, but beyond that, I think this fight is pretty doable. There is a cheese way that you can do it at the moment, and we'll talk about that later in this video, but I'll talk about the actual way of how to defeat this fight and the requirements, because holy. So if you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. And if you guys want to see these slides, be sure to check the Discord down below. There is a section in the guides, or in the Discord, where it says PvE guides, and you guys can click and just see this, see all that stuff that's been listed in this video, because holy cheats, bro, holy. But let's get into the Jade Oni rematch. Okay, obviously this was supposed to be a reference to the old Mushu final boss, you know, because back in the day, not many people really talk about, but you used to be able to fight all 4 Onis at the end of Mushu, and I remember that vaguely. I remember fighting that, and it was crazy back then, you know. So obviously time has happened, and you know, you just fight the Jade Oni at the end, right? But now the rematch is supposed to basically be that. It's supposed to be a tough fight against all 4 Onis, and you are level scaled down to 50, of course. So let's start talking about these cheats, right? Get ready. There's a lot of cheats. Each one has its own separate cheats. There is a late cheat, of course, but I did include it on the slides. We can quickly just talk about it. So the late cheat is, think you're clever, do you? If a wizard joins late, Jade Oni will cast a Shadow Confuse on the wizard, and that confuse will last 3 rounds. I'm gonna be honest, don't join late, right? I feel like you should never activate this cheat unless miscommunication, someone lags out, whatever, but you really should not have to deal with this cheat. I'm gonna tell you this right now, if you do join late, restart. Do not join late. That confuse will ruin your run, and it's just not worth it. So don't join late, and plus it's advanced combat and stuff like that. It should be fine. It should be fine. Now let's talk about the actual cheats. Your doom is imminent. So this is like the main primary cheat behind the Jade Oni. At the start of the round, if Jade Oni has a blade, right? So let's say he has like a storm blade, any blade, doesn't matter, it has to be a blade. He will do a spear blade on himself. This is essentially going to start a combo, right? And that is essentially called the warning cheat, as I call it. So what it does is the next round, he will do a primal Oni. So he'll cast the cheat next round, which is you were warned. At the end of the round, Jade Oni will cast a primal Oni. Now, you can reduce the damage on the primal Oni. You cannot like get rid of this primal Oni. It's going to be casted no matter what. So once you see that doom is imminent, no matter what, the following round you're going to be hit with this cheat and get hit with the primal Oni. Depending on the blades, if Jade Oni has 4 blades, it's going to do the double damage gambit, and you're just dead, right? You're just dead. You can dispel this cheat. That is something that you could consider, but the following round he will just do it again. So is it really worth the dispel? You take that up to You talk to your team about that, and you can add a dispel if you want, but you're still gonna get hit with an Oni eventually, and that's just, yeah. Just, yeah. So keep that in mind. And the thing is, with this Prime Oni, it doesn't remove the leftover blades. So for example, if the Jade Oni has a lot of blades on him, right, or if he doesn't have enough blades to activate the gambit, the following round he will do the Doom is imminent cheat again, and then the following round after that he will do another Prime Oni. So there's this issue where he's just in this cycle of just non-stop, your doom is imminent, you're warned, your doom is imminent, you're warned, over and over and over, because of the fact that A, he didn't reach the gambit mechanic, so he didn't remove his blades, and two is he has too many blades, and well, you know, he's just gonna do it again next round. So that's the one issue with the Jade Oni. The one issue. If he removed all of his blades similar to the Azteca raid, I think this rematch is completely fine. If I'm being honest, I wish it would be completely fine. But just being in this constant cycle of just always getting Prime Oni, the only way out of this is if you Earthquake. But here's the issue. If the War Oni is alive, he's just gonna cast a Pigsy and just heal everybody up. So you're not really gonna be in, you're gonna be in this constant stalemate, and you're more likely going to lose because of it. So there's that cheat. Now let's talk about his other cheats. Your tricks become my treasure. Whenever there's a trap that is casted on the Jade Oni will remove them by using Oni's naturalism. So it's going to turn those traps into blades. And if you use a mass trap, like, you know, like any of the storm traps or any of the mass traps or mass X or whatever, he will still do Oni's naturalism. So it's not worth it. Do not use any mass traps. Do not even dare trap the Jade Oni, right? So keep that in mind. Now we got sharing is caring. Whenever a dot is placed on the Jade Oni, he will cast Camp Bandit. It used to be a Seraph back in the day, but now it's a Camp Bandit because Camp Bandit bottom path is a push mechanic. So this will push the dot onto the wizard. So be wary when you try doing this. Then our last cheat, of course, is just Jade Ancestors Protect Me. Every 5 rounds, Jade Oni will cast a Spirit Armor on himself. It's like 500. It's not that big of a cheat, if I'm gonna be honest, but that cheat does exist. So there's the Jade Oni cheats. Now let's move on to the other Onis. Now we got Plague Oni. Plague Oni has some interesting cheats compared to the other 4, at least, or other 3. Those with the most have the most to lose. If the player blades, the Plague Oni will do Oni Shadow, and what Oni Shadow does is if you have a blade, I get a blade. Stuff like that. If I have a weakness, you get a weakness. That's what Oni Shadow is. Now, the whole point of Oni Shadow is to set up his Tribunal Oni so he could do a double damage gambit. So if for some reason you decided to, like, I don't know, try infection the Plague Oni, he'll echo it back to you, and you have literally 2 weaknesses on you. And if you decide to blade, he puts 2 blades on him. So you don't want to weakness the Plague Oni. So don't you dare try weaknessing it. And you don't want to blade. You want to kill these guys in a certain order, because if you blade the next round, whoever has the most pips is literally getting hit with a Tribunal Oni. And depending on the buffs on the field, this can do a lot of damage. And not many people realize that. I know it's a Tribunal Oni. It's literally a Chimera. Yeah, it's literally like a Chimera, right? Just a PvP version, and it has a Gambit on top of it. So keep that in mind. Don't try not to blade, right? It'll only activate if you blade. If you have weaknesses and stuff like that, or if you just keep trapping other enemies, you won't activate this cheat. So you want to kill all these guys in a certain order. Next cheat, a pox upon your house. Every 3 rounds, Plague Oni will cheat cast a plague on the wizards. Keep in mind, Plague Oni is balance and death, so does have access to plague. So, and it's in his name. So every 3 rounds, keep in mind. But whenever we talk about the strat, you got some cleanses in there to keep you in mind. Or if we're doing an empower, you don't even have to worry about this. Now we got the last cheat, time for the tables to turn. Whenever a trap is placed on Plague Oni, you will cast Writing of the Scales. So keep that in mind. Don't trap him. You can't blade till later on. So whatever you do, don't trap the Oni. Don't mass trap. Don't do any of that, please. Now we go to the third one, War Oni. There was a lot of interesting cheats about the War Oni, if I do say so myself, because the fact that War Oni's cheats that were listed on the wiki, they didn't realize he had a he has his own Oni, his own double damage Oni, right, which is Inferno Oni. And like I said, each of these Onis have a certain condition, and what it will target a certain person based upon that. Like for example, Balance, which was the Plague Oni, the Tribunal Oni hits the person with the max pips. So each of these have like a certain condition, and it will target the person that has whatever, right? Of course, if there's one person on the field, they're just gonna hit the one person on the field, stuff like that. And then if if it doesn't meet the other ones, for example, it'll just target whoever at that point. But let's talk about the cheats for War Oni. Let the War rage on. At the start of round 5, War Oni will cast a sprite on himself, right? And then at the start of the next round, if War Oni has a hot on himself, he will cast a sprite on himself, which is weird, right? So he does a sprite and then he does another sprite, and his cheat is a bit weird. His combo cheat, I guess you can say. Survival is the dominion of the fittest, which is a weird cheat. I'm trying to understand why did it name it this cheat. But at the end of the next round, War Oni will cast an Infernal Oni. So the thing is, the reason why this cheat didn't exist on the wiki is because you would never see this cheat. We purposely had to like keep stacking up hots and like make this guy purposely, or we kept on shielding purposely to see if he even has an Oni, because you would only see all the other 3 Onis. You would only see the Gambit version of Death Oni, you'd see Primal Oni, you'll see Tribunal Oni, but you'll never see Inferno Oni. And it does exist. Of course he has to have one, right? If the other 3 have one, he has one too. But I'm gonna be honest, you guys should never see him use this, right? If they made this easier, like making his cheat easier so he can cast it more often, this fight is gonna become like a massacre. It's literally going to be a mini version of the Azteca raid if you were to fight all 4 in one all 4 priestesses in one fight, and that's just not going to be fun. Let's move on with this other cheats. Your armaments are no match for the heat of the forge. If a wizard casts a shield, War Oni will cast Oni's Forge, and what Oni's Forge does is just turn your shield into a hot. So keep that in mind. Try not to shield, but I do have shields in my strat, so it only removes it off the user. It doesn't remove it off everyone, thankfully. Let the War rage on. Right, so now he has 2 different versions of Let the War rage on, which is kind of weird. I hope that they change the name of this just because it's kind of confusing to the user. But essentially what this is if a person casts an AoE, the War Oni will cast a Pigsy, and it's going to be the bottom path, which is the one that does a hot. Now, the difference between this cheat versus the other cheat is literally this will heal up everyone to 100% no matter what. So if you tried cheesing this and doing a blade stack and then just fire dragon or something like that, right, and you decide to kill him, War Oni will cast this from the dead. If you killed War Oni, including all the other Onis in that same round with that dragon, it will cast this from the dead and everyone restored to max HP. Now let's say you kill War Oni like a round before. Obviously this cheat is not going to occur, but if it was on the field, it will cast it. So be wary. Don't try using AoEs unless War Oni's dead. Once the War Oni's dead, you can go for an AoE and you're chilling. But that's his cheats, at least what I wrote down. Finally, we move on to the last Oni, which is Death Oni. Spirits of the dead, protect me. At the start of the round, if the Death Oni has a shield, it will cast a Spirit Shield on himself. So that's the warning cheat. Now, he does have many variations of setting up a shield on himself. He can do a Tower Shield on himself. He has Legion Shield. He has Reindeer Knight, so he can literally do an AoE and then just shield everybody, which is a -60, which is crazy to even think about, right? So be wary about the Death Oni. And then the following round, he will do Think You're Tough. At the start of at the end of next round, Death Oni will cast Doom Oni. So it's be careful. But the thing is, you're never gonna see this unless you're fighting. If while using my strats, you should never see this. But if you're using someone else's strat, you might have to deal with the Death Oni cheat. But that just depends on what strat you want to do. But in my strat, I've never had to deal with the Death Oni, at least. And then the final cheat, you dare mock death. If you try blading, Death Oni will cast Petrifaction on the receiver. No, Blade Storms will activate this cheat. So it will do it on every single person. So if he tried using Blade Storm, every person will get hit with Petrifaction. So you can't blade till this guy's dead, right? If he's on the field, you are getting literally comboed. It's so many combo cheats. But now those are all the cheats for when it comes to the Onis, right? Took me a minute just explaining all the cheats. Keeping that in mind. That took a while explaining all the cheats. Now let's get into the strats, right? This video might be kind of long. Sorry about that, guys. But let's talk about the strats now. Now I have two different strats, right? We're gonna go over the actual way that I feel like is the intended way that you have to do this fight, right? Would I advise doing this strat at the moment? Probably not, because you can just flee and come back. But if for some reason, you know, down the line I expect it to happen, of them fixing the fleeing thing, this is the strat I would recommend, right? Once that's fixed. But at the moment, just do fleeing strat. So what is the strat that I use to defeat Jade Oni, right? There's going to be many strats, right? A lot of people will have strats because people want to farm this for the decks mainly. And I know a lot of people are going to be asking me. So how to do it? This is the strat. You want to have a life, and they want to be using an Archmastery deck because they're going to be going for Pixies. They're going to be spamming Pixies. They need to have the heals, right? They need to. And the only way to do that is by competing against the enemies for school pips. Now, keep this in mind. All the other people that are on your team, please do not rock an Archmastery deck. You will be competing against your own ally and you won't be getting heals. So what is the solution? What other deck do you use? You got a couple options. You can just literally use any deck from the bazaar. Demiurge is a really good option because that used to be like the Paradox equivalent, just better. You can use Paradox deck. You can literally use any deck. You can use Supreme. Really up to you. But just make sure you don't have Archmastery on your deck, please. And another thing is that life is going to have 32 cards in their deck, specifically 32 cards because that gives them 50% rating on their setup. If you have 50% rating, every other round you should be getting a school pit, which is very helpful, and you can spam Pigsy when you need it. Other than that, the ice can have whatever setup. They don't need crazy power pips, they don't need accuracy, they just need to have the set things, which is either having a pet or an amulet that gives them an elemental blade, and they need to have a fire bubble. They can get that on an amulet, they can get that on a pet or jewel, so you can like swap those between yourself. Like if you want to have a pet that has an elemental blade, that works. Just make sure you have an amulet that has a fire blade or a jewel. You know, if you can't do that, then have a pet like Lord of Summer that gives a 35 bubble, use that, and then just get an amulet that has an elemental blade. That works too. Just depends on the user. The Fire 1 and Fire 2, you need to have some juicy stats, bro. You need to have at least 78% damage, which is the stat cap, and you need to have at least 10 pierce. Because from my testing and doing this so many times, like the amount of runs I've done is actually absurd. I'm glad you guys didn't have to go through this, but from what it seems like, I've tried different numbers and 10 pierce seems like a good amount. And if you want to check your stats, literally go to the PvP arena. You can go talk to the vendor, scale down to level 50 and see what your stats are. Make sure you have at least 78% damage and 10 pierce. You need some good accuracy as well, because obviously you don't want to fizzle your spells. I'd say 15 is a good number to stop at, 15% accuracy. If you can go higher, that's even better, but 15% specifically, because depending on your tiers on your spells, such as like Elephant or Phoenix or Immolate, stuff like that, you only need roughly like 15, right? But if you don't have anything spellamented, you are going to need more accuracy. And you are going to need at least 25% accuracy if you want to use Fire Dragon. So depending on your gear, you're going to have to fluctuate some stuff. But luckily, our group had everything down to a T, and we were able to do this pretty well. And another thing is, our life was Matt. Matt had a tier 5 Pigsy, so you take that to account if tier 5 actually matters, right? Because I did live by 38 HP, and I'm gonna be honest, if you didn't have tier 5, I probably would have died. But that was a lot of RNG that was involved, of course. In my opinion, I think tier 2 is just fine because you need to have the bottom path anyways to even use Pigsy in advanced combat. But him having tier 5 did help out a lot. So there's some requirements in the setup. So let's talk about the actual strat now. So round 1, you're going to do a fire trap on Death Oni, elemental trap on Death Oni, an amulet fire trap on Death Oni, and then another fire trap. You're basically going to trap stack Death Oni and just annihilate it. Depending on your pips, you are going to use a immolate or a phoenix. If pips are in your favor, use a phoenix. You can even have a elephant in your deck if you want to be safe. But I feel like there's a chance of you fail pipping twice because of your pips. So immolate is a good option, and then if you do get lucky and power pips are in your favor, Phoenix is a good option as well. Phoenix is like probably the better option, but if you can't, just use immolate. And just make sure the ice uses a fire bubble in this turn, and literally you can kill Death Oni, and then the life is going to start prepping up War Oni, so you can use traps. You don't want to use blades after you kill Death Oni because you're going to activate the cheat for Plague Oni, and you don't want to take a what's called Tribuna Oni that quickly, right? You want to live, right? All these guys have 7 pip AoEs. You have to be on your toes. You have to be on your toes. Now let's get to round 3, right? Round 3, this is when the life needs to start healing or they can cleanse, because the hitter is not hitting till round 4, and every 3 rounds Plague Oni is going to hit you with a weakness, and you want to cleanse that off. Of course you can leave that on you, but you want to cleanse it off because of the fact that you don't want to do less damage on your hits, of course. So that's why you do Pigsy or cleanse depending on your HP. If Jade Oni did blade round 1, you probably do need a heal round 4, right? And Pigsy, depending on if there's like you got hit with a 7 pip AoE by then, a Pigsy does come in clutch. And if it comes down to it, you can even Pigsy again, and then you just have to push everything back a couple of rounds because of the fact that you got hit with an AoE into an AoE. So it's just as bad. But cleanse before you hit, of course. But the ice is going to start doing Legion shields. That shield that is on the ice is going to get turned into a hot for War Oni. But it doesn't matter because War Oni is going to be dead. But at least everyone else is protected from either a Prama Oni, and that's about it. That's either going to hit you, because War Oni will never activate his cheat. Plague Oni won't activate his cheat unless you blade, and that's about it. The only one you have to really worry about is that Prama Oni, and especially if it keeps chaining over and over and over. So once you do that, you basically trap stack and kill War Oni with the elephant, and you're good to go. Then you start doing them powers. You start basically blading up and trying to go for that fire dragon, right? Once you go for that fire dragon, you can just easily win this, right? There is some factors, like I said, like what if the Plague Oni decides to use a Wraith on me and I get hit with a -65? You got to make sure that life is carrying extra cleanses, because you're not killing anything with the -65 on you. So you got to cleanse that off and you'll be okay. The ice is going to just keep spamming Legion shields, and then you have to keep in mind, once you blade, the following round, whoever has the most pips is going to get hit with a Tribuna Oni. Simple solution: whoever has the most pips that round, which is most likely going to be the Fire 2, because the fact that they did use Empower at one point, you just Spirit Shield them, and you can tank a Tribuna Oni and not have to worry about it. It's better than having a Legion Shield because you can tank the 3rd hit, so having a Spirit Shield literally protects you. It saves lives out here. It legit saves lives. So once you do that, you blade stack a bit, you got some heals going up, you got some cleanses, you can just Fire Dragon and win. Now, there is a lot of factors in this fight, I have to say. Whether the Death Oni using a a Legion Shield. If Death Oni does a Legion Shield round 1 or 2, chalks the run. It doesn't chalk it completely. You're just gonna have to do more rounds. And in case he does Reindeer Knight too, you gotta be on your toes. That's another thing. If like in our run, if Plague Oni, or not Plague Oni, if Jade Oni keeps using Prima Oni over and over because of the fact that it's in this infinite cycle of blading, I know it's tough. You just have to really shield it off and just keep healing. It's tough. It's tough out here. And that's about it when it comes to the main factors. If they really decide to fix the Prima or anything and just make it so it just removes all of its buffs after that, I think I'll be fine. I think this fight is literally fine, but just non-stop Prima Onis is my only issue in this fight, because of the fact that, like, what am I gonna do if I try AoEing? The War Oni will just knock it off. I think after you kill the War Oni and Death Oni, you can put some Enfeebles in your deck. You can does 3 removals. You can carry an Earthquake if you want to, but that's the only thing I can think of. So this fight is kind of fun just because there's a lot of things that are involved. Now you guys are probably wondering, is this really the strat that you have to do? There's probably a better strat. There's probably some other strat within the community. This is just what I used, right? You don't always have to use whatever I use, right? If you have something better, you're more than welcome to tell me, right? But this is just kind of what I did. I feel like no one's really talking about the rematches, and I wanted to like do something that someone else wasn't doing, of course. And if this helps somebody, I'm glad, right? At least they can go farm the stuff that they need to, because I know stuff that's in packs is kind of annoying to get. So definitely go use this strat. Now, let's say you wanted to cheese the Jade Oni rematch, right? There is a cheese. Yes, there wouldn't be an almond video if there is no cheese. What is that cheese? You do the flee strat. What is the flee strat? You kill 2 Onis and you flee, and you literally dungeon recall, come back. Basically the Hall of Heroes strat. You just leave after you kill 2 Onis, potion up, go back, and then you just blade stack and kill. Yeah, that's literally, you think I'm lying? That's literally the strat. So if you wanted to farm the Jade Oni, just use the flee strat. I mean, use it at your own regard, but that's the fastest way of doing this, because of the fact that, yes, the other strat I have has a lot of issues, but just honestly, just trap stacking Death Oni, if you wanted to even be safer, right? Kill 1 Oni at a time. You can kill 1 Oni, flee, come back, kill the War Oni, flee, and come back, and then just blade stack, kill the other ones. But honestly, within 4 rounds, you should be able to kill the Death Oni and the War Oni in that run, and then fleeing and coming back, and then just blade stacking and doing a Fire Dragon just works as well. I know I'm gonna get some comments or some messages in DMs saying, hey, can I do this with myths? Can I do this with other schools? Yeah, you can 100% do it. It's even better with myths because the fact that you guys have access to betrayals and stuff like that. So if for some reason Death Oni does shield, just betrayal, right? Turn those shields into traps, easy. Stuff like that. So that is essentially how to do the rematch, right? I know it's a hectic thing. I know some people are like, I've seen people complain, oh, well, who would dare put the decks and the boots, the most wanted pieces from Skyfair, behind the hardest boss? I mean, it just makes sense, right? I mean, I'm not pointing fingers.
Seems like a skill issue to me,
but I think it's fine, honestly. It's a challenge for a reason, right? At least it's not behind, like, actually this is the hardest one. I can understand, but there's not much I can do about it, guys. But that's essentially how the Jade Oni rematch works, right? Even I struggled a bit. Even though I love Mushu, I struggled a whole bunch trying to figure out how to do this fight. And definitely, I hope that they fix that Prima Oni thing, and this fight will become drastically easier because you're not getting hit with an Oni every 2 rounds. So hopefully that gets changed and this fight becomes easier, I'm gonna be completely honest. But that is it for the video, guys. This might have been a long video. I had to explain all the cheats, had to explain a lot of factors behind this, but let me know what you guys think about this fight in the comments below. Is this really worth farming for? Are you guys actually going to farm Jade Oni? Yeah, you can do the flee strat, but eventually that's going to get patched, and then I know there's going to be people complaining about it. But once Skyfair gets power crept, are people going to still farm this boss? Don't know, right? Eventually stuff does get power crept in this game. I don't know if Skyfair will ever have a 170 version, right? With Wallaroo coming around, what is going to happen with all these 160 gears, right? Unless for some reason Wallaroo does not have an increased level cap, but then that becomes the whole issue, right? So we'll just have to see what happens after Wallaroo. Are all these gears getting 170 version, or are these gears just going to get like just chalked and no one's going to use them? Don't know. We really don't know. It's a lot of questions that I still have, just wondering about what's going to happen to this game after once Wallaroo comes out, because it's going to be hit or miss depending on the community and how they take it, because we'll just have to see. Honestly, there's a lot of, I mean, I could probably save it for a separate video, but that's all I'm going to say. But I hope you guys enjoyed the Jade Oni rematch. Hopefully you guys beat it without using cheese, but honestly, we all love cheese here. Just use the cheese. If you guys want to see these slides, like I said, they're in the Discord and the PvE guides channel. You're more than welcome to view it. If you have any questions or want me to add another strat for like some other schools, let me know, right? I'm open to your guys' suggestions, and I'm definitely going to be working on some other stuff in the Discord, like a guide to how to defeat all the key bosses, even though you just call incendiate all of them, but still have a guide on that, and do all that type of stuff. So be on the lookout for the last rematch duel, which is Malister. Probably upload it from like 2 days from now, so be on the lookout for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.